Hey guys, it's Jessica. I feel like I've got like bat wings. Anyway, so today, how did I get that off track that quickly? I said, hey guys, and then I was gone. Okay, hey guys. Today, I am going to show you what I do. I do this, I would say 1 to 2 times a week. And I didn't realize that I kind of always did the same thing, but Tyler kind of pointed it out, my husband. So I wanted to show you what I do, like say I get home from work and where I'm screaming. Pretend I get home from work and we're gonna go out to dinner that night, or we're meeting our friends somewhere. And so I have like 5 to 10 minutes to kind of what I call glam up before going out. And so if I went to work, that means I've got at least somewhat of a face of makeup. And actually today I filmed the makeup I do when I get ready for work. So if that video's up, I will link it. But this is the face that I typically do for work. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but when we're going out, especially if it's like for dinner and drinks, I like to kind of glam up a little bit. It's the time I get to play with makeup and maybe do a different kind of a lip, different kind of an eye look, but oftentimes I'm in a rush, and I'm sure you guys are too. So I wanted to show you what I do without taking makeup off, because usually I've got, you know, this makeup on and I'm gonna pile stuff on top of it. So I wanted to show you what I do so that it looks a lot more flawless. It doesn't look too cakey, but it definitely looks like a different look for the evening. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I would do is I would get some powder foundation and kind of add a little bit more coverage to my skin. So I'm gonna tell you something that is a big no-no, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway because I do it and I don't care. So one thing I do to get the most flawless, perfect coverage is to take a powder foundation, not just a powder, but a powder foundation that has coverage, and a wet beauty sponge, and I just straight up, like, I'll devote half of the palette to doing this, and I'll literally just take the sponge and I'll just start putting it onto my face. It adds even more coverage, but the reason I say it's a big no-no is because, you know, putting anything wet into a powder, you know, compact like this, it can mess with the product. Sometimes it will get weird. It'll get like hard pan. So, you know, one thing I would recommend is if you find a foundation or a powder foundation you like, maybe find a cheap one, because I'm going to tell you this is not going to last all the way to the end. Eventually I'll have to say, okay, it's time to just get rid of this, because it does end up getting hard pan after a while. But I do this when I travel. I do this when I'm getting ready to go out, because I don't have to go all the way in and put a whole bunch of foundation and concealer and all that stuff on, but it just covers everything. It is the most amazing thing, but like I said, it totally ruins. I would say I could probably use this still, and of course this is not a cheap one. This is the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Airbrush Perfecting Powder. But like I said, it will over time ruin it. It's not good for it. Just letting you know, but I'm telling you, it is a foolproof tip. So maybe get a cheaper one. Like, I really like the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance. This one's not too expensive, so you could use it, and then after a few months, maybe just replace it. But I typically don't use, okay, I'm over explaining this. Anyway, so that is one huge tip. The next thing I like to do is to brighten my under eye even more. So my favorite way to do that is with my NYX HD Finishing Powder. So I'm just gonna get a small fluffy brush. This is in the shade Banana, but it really does brighten that area. And so I like to do this because it makes me look, and sometimes I'll even kind of put it up there, but it just makes it look so much more flawless. And again, I'm not having to get concealer out because I don't have that kind of a time. Okay, the next thing I do is I put bronzer on. And the reason I put bronzer on is because I feel like it chisels your face a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna do like a true contour kind of a thing, but it also just, it makes your look more interesting. You know what I mean? It adds a little bit of dimension to your face, a little bit of warmth. I'm gonna use one of my favorites, the number 7 bronzer, but I'm gonna use the shade Caramel, which is deeper than the one I usually use, but that's because I want that little bit of drama, and I'm using just an angled brush. And whoa. So I'm just gonna kind of apply it here, and then a little bit to that area. But you can see how instantly it's warming up my face, adding a little bit more interest to it. And I like to grab that same sponge and kind of blend it in that I was using earlier with the powder foundation, just to kind of blend it up and in so it doesn't look like I've got really weird splotchy areas. So I would say by this point, if I weren't explaining what I was doing, I would have only spent like a minute on those 3 things total, maybe a minute and a half. So it really is quick. The next thing is to reapply whatever blush I had. So or I mean really by that time in the day my blush is not always like really standing out. I'm going to use again the number 7. Sorry, I've got number 7 on the brain because I'm filming a video about it here soon, so I've got some of them in front of me. But I love, this is the shade Peach Velvet. It's just a really good, no, it's not sponsored by number 7. It just, I really do like a lot of the products and they're right in front of me. So I'm just going to apply a little bit there. Peach Velvet's a really pretty color. These are good blushes. And I've really gotten into these like duo fiber kind of blush brushes. This is the Sigma Duo Fiber Powder Blush F15. Just because it does a good job of not looking like a clown face, which I appreciate because I am not a makeup artist. The next thing I like to do is add a really popping highlight. So maybe if during the day I was wearing more of a natural-ish one, this time I want to put one that's a lot more glamorous. So I'm going to use my Milani Strobe Light Powder in the shade Afterglow. It's kind of a champagne colored one, and it's definitely it's such a pretty highlighter, but of course just highlighting the classic highlighting areas. Maybe a little bit on my nose, and sometimes I add a little bit to my brow bone just to get that area to glow a little bit more. That's another kind of tip I have because it just kind of completes that little area, and I just think it looks so pretty on so many people. The next thing I like to do is my eyes really, really quickly. So I'm not gonna take my eyeshadow off, and I never do, but I do grab kind of a thinner crease brush. If you've been watching my videos for a while, I've been obsessed with this Pixi It's Judy Time palette. So I like to grab a deep dark color. I'm gonna grab maybe this deeper brown here in the bottom row in the middle, and just put it in my outer corner and kind of up into the crease. And what this does is it really does add some drama to your eye, but I really didn't have to change that much about my look. And of course I'll need to blend it and stuff, but it really does add some quick dimension, some drama. I'll stop saying drama. I'm annoying myself. And what I like about doing this is, you know, I'm gonna go over my liner really quickly because, you know, the second you start reapplying eyeshadow, it's obviously gonna fall a little bit into your lashes, a little bit, but I've noticed that with the darker shades, it really doesn't make too much of a difference because, you know, it's darker. Whereas if I'm reapplying a bunch of shimmer, then you really start to see it in the lashes and then you're trying to get it out. But like I said, the darker ones, it doesn't mess with that too much, but it definitely makes your look more va-va-voom. And just to add to blend it a little bit more, I'm gonna use this shade here. Gosh, I love this palette. Again, it's another matte shade, but I'm just gonna kind of blend it up there. And then I like to really quickly get a lighter shade, and sometimes I'll even use like the NYX banana powder because it is so brightening, and just put it right under my brow bone. Oh my gosh, it's so brightening though. So now that I've kind of redone that part of my look, I like to grab a liquid liner and add a wing. Now, I don't do this every single night, but it definitely, again, adds some drama. And so depending on who I'm going with, where I'm going, I like to add a wing if I didn't already have it. Plus, it gets rid of any powderiness, like there's a little bit of powder that fell under my lashes there. And I'm just using the NYX Epic Ink Liner, my favorite drugstore liner ever. So, you know, I could keep going with this, but I think it's a good length. If I have the time, this is very rare I put on fake eyelashes. Most nights I don't have the time, so I don't put it on. But the other thing I do, of course, is lips. So if I'm going out to eat somewhere, I usually will just do a really neutral lip or just like a gloss because I don't feel like worrying about when I'm eating and drinking, you know. But if I'm just going out for drinks or going out to do something else, then I will do a bold lip. But it's just kind of one of those things you have to decide for yourself. But I used to try to do bold lips while going out to eat, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? You know, it just, you're miserable, you're trying to wipe it off and your napkin's covered in it, and you're like, how does it look crazy all night long? I'm like, it's not worth the stress at all. And so I've just kind of eliminated that stress. So today I'm gonna be using for my lips Bombshell Red. It's one of the super lustrous lipsticks from Revlon. And it's just such a pretty color. I mean, right now we're heading into fall, but whenever you're watching this video, it's just a really pretty color. And typically when I'm running out of time, I don't line my lips, so we're just gonna go right in with it. It's really, really creamy. The other thing I like to do is kind of try to part my hair a little bit more dramatically, so maybe from the side, farther from the side that is, Of course, it's different depending on your hair type. So this is how I end up glamming up. So I went from this to this. And I think, while I don't think it's like I look completely different, I do feel a lot more like I'm ready to go out. I kind of put in an effort, and like I said, I like doing more dramatic-ish. I say dramatic. I know this is not dramatic for everyone. Most people are like, girl, that's like my everyday. I know. But for me, it is a lot more dramatic than certainly what I started with and typically what I wear to work. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe you got a new tip or two. If you have any other tips for getting ready quickly for a night out when you're kind of putting makeup on top of makeup, please let us know down below. Otherwise, I hope that you will subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.